Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I am Tom and today we're talking about Isolation from 2005. Written and directed by Billy O'Brien, a remote farming island becomes the setting for a scientific experiment gone horrifically wrong. Now this is the type of film you'd probably see on like Film 4 in like 2007. Probably while you're chatting to your mates on MSN or something. But honestly, this film is probably better than what you'd expect it to be. It doesn't reinvent the wheel in terms of horror, but it's a pretty good watch. And the film does start with a character going elbow deep into a cow's vagina, so, you know, there's that as well. So first things first, this film is pretty much Alien, or The Thing, but it's set on a farm. But the monster in this is a mutated cow fetus thing. Well, multiple mutated cow fetusize. But it follows the usual plot of monster is found or created, starts to kill off our characters. They need to stop it before it goes out and infects the world and everyone fucking dies. And then the last two survivors have to sort of take on the monster by themselves. And maybe there's a little cheeky sequel tease which will never happen. So it's standard stuff really, but I think what makes it worth a watch is probably like the setting and the tone of the film and some pretty decent performances. And the use of practical effects is always appreciated in a film like this one, especially one which is somewhat low budget. The tone of the film has this sort of like moody and grim atmosphere to it, which is similar to the setting itself, which is like some run-down shithole farm in the middle of nowhere, which is not maintained and it's all falling apart. And even the animals don't look like they want to be there. And I suppose if you want to tie it up in a nice little bow, you could say that's somewhat of a reflection on the main character, which is Dan Riley, who's the owner of the farm, who's played by John Lynch. We get this sense that he's some kind of like bitter man who's been forced to look after this rundown family farm he couldn't give two shits about. And then when he needs to make a bit of money, he gets some dodgy scientists to perform experiments and, well, it all goes fucky. Essie Davis also stars, who I thought was going to be like the co-lead of the film, or like the Ripley, sort of the last man or woman standing. But no, she gets taken out pretty early on, so I suppose they were trying to do a thing of, you know, no one's safe and all that. There's also an appearance from Sean Harris, somewhat early in his career, but I'll be honest, this probably isn't his best work, because he just feels awkward in the role, kind of like he's not really well cast. I suppose he does a decent job, but to me he just felt a bit random. But if you want a film with Sean Harris, which properly shows us what he's capable of, I'd have a look at Possum from 2018, which is a proper, slightly dark, weird film, but it's very good, so I'd give that a watch. There's also a plot revolving around him and his girlfriend, which really goes nowhere because they're on the run from her brothers or something. I'm guessing it's some kind of like relationship they didn't want to happen, but it did anyway, and I thought it would come into play, like maybe the brothers would turn up at the farm and they'd end up getting killed and fuck up the plans of what they've got going and all that stuff. But no, they never turn up, and apparently it's just the reason why they're there for some reason. So yeah, that could have been a bit better, I suppose. And just to round up the characters, we've got the sort of mad scientist guy who's the one setting all this up and blah blah blah, and he's the one who eventually goes mad because he realises that if this alien or infection thing spreads, then the world's fucked, basically. Think of like Blair from The Thing, but slightly less nuts.
Hey Blair, come on man, you don't want to hurt anybody. I'll kill you!
Now with any good alien thing, monster horror, you want to see some of that gore. And this film does have some pretty brutal moments. But I will say though, if you're not a fan of sort of animal mutilation in terms of, you know, films, not going out and, you know, killing a deer or anything, but it's best to give this one a miss because there is a lot of sort of animals being cut up and stuff like that, and if you're not into that, then, you know, best give this one a miss. But it does look like most of the effects are actually done practically, which is always appreciated. I love the design of the weird like fetus thing. It's like this weird fleshy spiky ball thing which kind of looks like a really weird worm. But the initial reveal of the weird fetus monster thing is quite well done as well, because they have to sort of cut open this calf and it's just fucking rank. Like, it just looks horrible, but in a good way where it's realistic, and it's obviously meant to make you feel like you're going to be sick, so I suppose it does its job. But yeah, like I say, if you're not a fan of that stuff, you'll probably fucking die. Another really well done effect which I liked was when they find the body of Essie Davis's character, and she's got this big fuck off hole in her stomach, which looks like it's almost like surgically done. It's just a really simple but effective image, if you know what I mean. It just looks like an actual fucked up wound that she's got. But probably the best effect in the film is when we get the big weird cow monster at the end. It's like this horrible skeletal type thing, and there's all parts of it in the wrong place, and limbs are here and limbs are there, and that's just rank, man. It's somewhat similar to the dog scene in The Thing, you know, when the dog's head fucking explodes or whatever. Or you could say it's a bit like the Cronenberg version of The Fly, which is just beautiful. And I love when you can tell how certain effects have been done. Like, I'm sure there's a moment in this where the monster's trying to sort of bite or attack a character, and you can just tell that it's some guy basically wearing a puppet, if you know what I mean. And I just love that shit. Even though you kind of know how it's made, it's still enjoyable because she's like, well, it's the suspension of disbelief, I suppose. But they use all the tricks in the book, really. You never really see a full image of the monster. It's sort of all in close-ups and it's barely lit, so it's just enjoyable when it's done right. And this film does get a lot of things right, but I think there's some stuff that it doesn't. When the fetus monster thing starts moving about for the first time, it just doesn't look very good. It looks like something which is being pulled on a string, kind of like really plasticky. It kind of looks like them worm things from that episode of TNG. You know, the one where at the end Riker and Picard have to like blow up that guy's head and then it goes fucking mad. It's a bit like that. That was a fucking mad episode. But then also it's like, despite the big cow monster at the end being quite well done, there's some moments where it just looks like a thing on a stick being shaken about, and like there's no articulation to it. It literally just looks like a bit of rubber being chucked about a bit. But you know, like, it is what it is. And I'm not trying to like knock the film or anything, because it is quite well done, but you know, some shots it does stick out a bit. And I do have to talk about like one of the strangest sequences I've seen in a film for a while. At one moment, like, a cow's giving birth to a calf, which kind of looks fucking disgusting by itself because it looks too realistic, if that makes sense. It's like, not in the sense where, it looks realistic, but it's gory, so it's fun. It's just like, that's I don't want to see a cow give birth, man. You know, that's not for me. Not on most days, anyway. But what follows that scene when the cow gives birth, because at first it's not breathing, and the character of Dan picks it up and swings it round his head, and like, I was kind of like, what the fuck? Because it's just like, maybe that's something that, you know, cow farmers actually do if a calf comes out and it's not breathing, but it was such a strange image that you can't help but laugh at it, because it's like, what? Just before I wrap things up, I have to mention the music by Adrian Johnson, which is like this simple, creepy but effective little line that plays sort of throughout the film. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty decent film. It's not something that you'll go in and get something completely new, but I think what the director Billy O'Brien did with it is worth a watch. I mean, you can tell this guy is probably a big horror fan, and he just wanted to make a similar film to Alien or The Thing, and I think he achieved it. Like, he makes the film his own without the biggest budget and without it just turning into a bland Alien Thing rip-off. Plus, I don't think I'll forget a film anytime soon which had a weird cow monster fetus thing as its monster, so it's definitely got that going for it. I would recommend this one. It's probably not one you'll watch every Halloween, but you know, it's pretty decent. It's a cool, slightly forgotten horror film which I think deserves at least one watch if you're in the mood for something spooky and weird and V to C. So yeah, that'll do it. Isolation from 2005. Thank you very much for watching. There'll be more videos here soon, hopefully. Take care of yourself, and you know, keep on keeping on.